We are going to start soon. We're just going to give everyone a few minutes to join. This is a town hall type session, which is a little strange on our side where I can't hear. So if we can put all of the questions in the chat, and then we will make stops along the way so where we can answer those questions, that would be great. So we're gonna wait till 1 after. So give everyone a few minutes to join. I think we're almost there. Let's see. The numbers are kind of static now, so we'll just go ahead and get going. So today we're going to talk about the new rebate site called DCAT. For today's calls, you have myself, Caroline Burns. I'm the been working on this project for like a little over a year now. Kate, who is the project lead, she will also be helping with monitoring the Q&As. Christy Henderson, I'm sure a lot of you have worked with her over the years, and she is also with us today and will also be helping monitor the Q&As. So they will answer what they can, and we will take little breaks and talk about some of those questions so that we can get a full answer. And then Rebecca's also a great source of information, but she is not on the call with us today. So housekeeping rules, just to set the expectations. This presentation is geared towards the back end, the pricing and accounting type folks who deal with the reconciliations. I will briefly go over some of the just general navigation and some of the front end items where you're asking for end customers, but with an hour and a half, we don't have time to go over everything. So we're just going to focus on that back end. If we can turn off the emails and phones and pay attention, you'll get the most out of this presentation. The meeting will be recorded for your reference, and you'll receive a copy of the PowerPoint. We're trying to figure out the best way to do that. So we will get that to you as soon as we can. The learning objectives for today is just an overview of the site, some of the key dates, going live November 4th, how to navigate in the site, and how to perform the actions that we'll discuss. So just a brief rebate basics on how we got here, and then we'll go into the site, do some navigation basics. Like I said, we'll review some of these items, but we're going to focus on these, and we won't have, if we get through these quickly, which I doubt we will, we could always come back and do some more on this, but there's also the recordings from the other sessions. So how did we get here? We know that we are having a full replacement of our current tool. The current tool is a Eaton-owned tool, so part of the One ERP and the integration with Danfoss is that we got a new rebate tool, so that's awesome. We are going live with what we call the minimum viable product, meaning that it is the most critical functionality. It will be going live, and that not everything will be there at go live, and we know that, but we do have plans to keep going forward with what we call MVP Plus and Phase 2. So there's continuous improvement planned after this. Danfoss is very big on making sure that someone continues to own the tool always, and that we can make at least some improvements going forward. Our key functionalities are enhanced account manager collaboration. So we have them much more involved than before. The other system was really hard to use, so it just took a lot of extra time. So it ended up being on the pricing team, but really it makes more sense for you to collaborate for pricing negotiations with your account manager. They know much more about the opportunities than we do. And our big focus for MVP was navigation and the customer's experience. So we have notifications and communications. We know that that was lacking in the current system, so we really wanted to make sure that we provided a lot more communication and accuracy and transparency of the data and calculations. So we did simplify some things about the rebate system. So we've consolidated and reduced the number of programs. These are just the general programs. So basically the competitive, you can just enter with a C, or you can use the agreement numbers. We'll get into more details on that. But like we don't have different programs for Weatherhead and AeroQuip anymore. We've been able to combine those, and that the your authorizations will be what separates those for you. We've also simplified the calculation by taking out the distributor discount and just focusing on the rebate amount, which made this a little easier to see. So we don't have this other math in the middle that where your distributor discount doesn't always match what your actual discount is with the rebate. So we thought, oh, that's just an extra calculation or extra complication we didn't need. So we just took that out. And so we're just going to basically use this rebate amount. It stays the same. We know that there's some, it's probably still overcomplicated, but we didn't want to change everything all at once. So once we're stabilized, we may look at these again and see what we can do to simplify those. Rebatable products are the same. There's no new changes coming with this go live. We've already made those changes last year. I can't say that there will never be changes. There probably will be, but nothing for the go live. Everything that's rebatable now will be rebatable in the new system. You will have a report in the new system that you can download that will give you all of your rebatable products that you're eligible for. The big change, which I think we've been trying to talk about, is the fact that we will be using material numbers. Part numbers, material numbers are interchangeable, trying to get used to the Danfoss naming of material numbers over part numbers. But we're not going to use the model codes or the wildcards. Model codes are very long, and they end up being discrepancies. So we just decided that it would be better to work off material numbers. And for the wildcards, with our new SAP part numbers, we will go live with all of the current part numbers, but when new part numbers are created, they won't follow the same smart part numbers that we use today, which makes the wildcards less relevant as we go forward in the future. So we just took them out. There's some updates with families. Excuse me. We do still have families, so there'll still be a way to request family rebates. And we did fix this prioritization of the individual part number over the family, where today that happens, but the system isn't really set up for it, so it doesn't know what to do, so it sort of randomly selects which approval to use. So we created it to actually work as expected on that one. We will cross over all of this information and migrate the existing data, and we will get you the new families. But if you've got a family today, we will just cross it over and move it. If you've got model codes in there today, we will cross it over and move it. Same with the wildcards. So all of that should not be a problem for you. If we have issues with your specific data or questions with your specific data, we're cleaning it right now, going through it. It's a very long process, very complicated process. But if we have questions specific to you, we will reach out. We won't just leave them out. So these are basically the steps. So we have the distributor sites and customers and agreements. As we said, we would briefly go over those, but our focus today is on discussing the submissions, the reconciliation, and the discrepancies. There will be, we're also trying to figure out the best way to get you access to these, but there will be step-by-step, like task-specific videos and instructions, depending on which way you like it. So we're getting those together now. Excuse me, I think the links will be in the tool. So once you get in there, then you'll be able to have links to them, but we're still working on those. But that way you don't have to listen to an hour and a half presentation to get the, 5 minutes that you need for a specific task. So we are making those task-specific training aids for you. All right. So we're going to do a little bit of navigation in the site. Before we go there, are there questions yet? Oh,
Just
okay.
one.
Okay.
So will there be the family on the site?
Yep. Yep. You'll be able to see when you download, we'll look at it, but when you download the rebate reconciliation, or when you download the rebatable products, it will tell you what family it's in. And then you'd also be able to look up the family to see the part numbers that are in it. Both ways. So you can, once we have my Danfoss open, then you will have a tile for the Danfoss competitive agreements. And this is where the rebate site is. So you'll be able to click on that and it will take you here. It does take you there. I just thought I already had it open. So I am logged in as a distributor currently. So you can see I have lots of notifications here. That's because it's UAT and we're playing around with it a lot. There are filters here that you can look for just ones that are associated with end customers or just ones that have to do with my competitive agreements, things that have to do with rebate management, which is like your, excuse me, your reconciliation reports, things like that. So you can use the filters. You can see when they're bold, that obviously I haven't read that yet, but it will just give you the information on, what has happened. If you saw that, I have a pterodactyl in here with me. But you can always get to this homepage by using the Danfoss logo, and there will be live links when there's action required, and they are in here. Here we go. So there's a live link here. We won't have the emails quite ready at Go Live, but they are definitely a high priority MVP plus. So you will be getting emails. And then phase 2, you'll be able to customize those so that you don't get every email on every little thing. So you'll be able to tell us what you want emails on. So within here, you also have your distributor sites. So as I'm logged on as this distributor, I just have this site here. I can look to see who my distributor super admins are, and those are like the king and queen pin now, where they can provide access to others in your organization. So we've got the list of those, so we'll get those added. And then you can also see the distributor users. So these are the folks that at me as the distributor super admin, I can add and provide access to any of the sites that I have access to. And you can see that we've just got, obviously this wouldn't belong with Acme, but we've got, excuse me, we're able to just, whatever site you have access to, you can provide to that person. Since I know some of you will be those King Queen Pin distributor super admins, we're going to quickly add a new user so you can see that it's easy. You just add in there. I can't do that because I've already used it, so we're making things up. Caroline at acme.com and add. And it's that easy. So then if I had multiple sites, as I know some of you do, I can go in here and I can look for the information here. And if I had multiple sites on this account, they would be listed here, and then you could just put a check mark on which ones they should have access to. So it's really pretty easy. So hopefully that's easy enough for you. the super admin for rebates doesn't have to be the super admin for the rest of the things on my Danfoss. So as we get into the system, if you want that to be different and we've put the wrong person, you just let us know. We have to add the super admins, obviously, but we can change those if once we get in the site. So that was pretty easy. So you can use the breadcrumbs to go back. You can also use your back browser button. If you've applied different filters, sometimes the back browser button is better because it doesn't necessarily get rid of the filters. Where if you use the breadcrumbs, any filters that you had on here would then be gone. You can also duplicate a
Carolyn?
tab. Yep.
Just for a second, there's a question to increase the screen size. If you can just zoom in
Oh,
a little bit,
sorry.
then it should help. Thank
I
you.
was doing screenshots yesterday and needed needed to see bigger. So all right. So yeah, so you can have two tabs or 50 tabs, whatever you want to do, but sometimes it's helpful to have two. So if you're doing something in here and you go, oh, I need to look up something over there, it's nice to have the two. So if I go in here to my sites, I can see that I have the rebatable products here. And you can search by the type of rebate family, and they're all the same in here as they are today, but then it just brings up all of the global TTCs. You can get rid of the filter here. You can search here. And you don't need a wildcard or anything. It'll just bring up everything that includes the GH493. So even if it was in the middle, then it would bring it up. You can search by product groups. Just depends on however you want to look. So tried to make it as easy as possible to look for things. And if you export products, then you'd have your all the products that you have, and it would include all of this information here. Excuse me. You can see the list prices here and the history. So once we're in the system for a while and there's been list price changes, you'd be able to see that there. But in this site, we just added everything starting May 1st. You can also see your end customers here. So you have the status here, if it's pending. You can see I've been adding a lot of things, so they're just pending right now. But your account manager would go in there and approve it, and then you would get a notification saying that it was approved, denied, or whatever. So we've tried to make that easy to see. In here, all I can really see is right now it's in pending, so I could see the end customer details. Excuse me. And then if it was not in pending and I was looking at approved ones, then I can go in here and see, I don't know if I have, which ones have end customer agreements. Let's see, Elmer's does. So you can see that they have these end customer agreements. So that is a difference in the system from today, which will take a little getting used to. And, as with everything, it's change, takes some getting used to, and there's pros and cons both ways. But each time you request a rebate or a group of rebates, it becomes an agreement. So that agreement, so you could end up with multiple agreements between yourself and the end customer that would end at different times. So we've changed it to where the agreements don't end on December 31st all the time. They're going to end by default 18 months after they start. And they will be reviewed by the account manager, looked at to see how it's been used, and then they can make an informed decision on if it should be extended, modified, or expired, and they have time to get with you. They'll get a notification 90 days before so that they can look at it and then get with you if they have questions. So it shouldn't just get expired without you knowing about it. But you will also get a notification 60 days before anything expires, but so that you would have time to know before it expired. But you can go in here and look at the agreement. So you can export it here. You can see that it's active. It was approved on this date. It started on this date. We actually can't backdate, but it's UAT. But it starts on a certain date and then it expires, usually 18 months, but that also can be edited by your account manager when we start it. If you're like, well, I'm going to need 2 years or whatever, you just work with them and they can make those changes. You can go and see here all the products. You can expand them. You know, I don't want to get too into the weeds there. If there's families, they are on a different tab, which takes a little getting used to, but it makes it cleaner in the system. So you can, again, use your back button. And get back to where you were, or you could follow the breadcrumbs. Either way, oopsies, follow the breadcrumbs. So that's how you can see your end customers. You can download them and you can upload them. We're not going to get into that today. We have the site users. So if you have multiple sites and you looked at the other one, it would show you everyone that has access to all of those sites. But here it just shows you who has access to this particular site. You're right. So that's kind of the general navigation for distributor sites. And this is the agreements tab. You can get the same information that we just got before. Again, if you have multiple sites, you can select one here. You can download your agreement report here. If you want to look at your agreement statuses here, you've got active, which means it's currently active, and approved means that it's active it's approved, but it hasn't started yet. The validation date hasn't started yet. So if we looked at approved, we can look at this one and see that it was approved on 8/20, but doesn't start till February. That's just testing. But it could, like, you could have one ending at this month, but a new one starting next month, things like that. So that's why there's a difference between those two statuses. Denied, excuse me, denied, draft, in review, and returned and submitted. So denied is obviously denied. Draft means that you've uploaded it. It's there for you. You could make changes. You can get rid of it, anything like that, but we haven't seen it yet. So we can't do anything with draft. And as soon as you submit it, you can't make changes to it because then that could be complicated. So then it's in the submitted status. And as soon as the account manager opens it and looks at it, it automatically changes to in review so that you will know that someone's looking at it. Another difference for this system is we can't, if you submit it asking for a specific rebate, and we can't approve it for that rebate, but could approve it for something different than that, we can't make those changes anymore. So we will give you the guidance and say this needs to be submitted with, I could approve this if you resubmit it with this. It will come back to you in a return status in a draft mode so that you could make those changes and resubmit it. I think that does help us understand because there's been a lot of times where we've had distributors where they submit and we approve at a different level and they see that it's approved and don't realize it's at a different level. So it does help in that respect. And we've tried to make it as easy as possible to make those changes. And you can request manually and via the upload. And again, don't want to get too much into that because I don't want to run out of time for the others. But you can look at your flat rate programs here. Again, if you have more than one site, you can see which sites. So it only shows the flat rates in which you have an agreement for. So you can look at these and see that, oh, I have an agreement. My agreement number, it won't actually start with 26. I think we're going to have the flat rates start at 1 million and the agreements start, or the competitive start at 2 so that we can see the difference between them. But you can go in here into the general and you can see this is my program name. This is the program number. If customer validation isn't needed, which is really just like hose centers and things like that, where the end customer can be whatever. But you can also see the OEM sell discount and the rebate discount. So today you can't really see those. You have to ask for those. So we've tried to make it a little more transparent for you so you can see exactly what the program details are. You can see what the products are. It just gives you those product groups, but that's another reason why it's sometimes nice to have these two tabs where you can go in there, and if you're like, I don't know what that product group was, and so it's connectors and RHHF, and then you can go, okay, so I know I have connectors and RHFF, and then you can see that, okay, these are all the products that are included in that program. So that's the reason it's nice to have those two things or two tabs open. And when you submit your point of sale, you can use the program number or you can use the agreement number. Either one will work. Same with the competitive. You can use C or you can use the agreement number. In here, I can look and see which end customers are approved for that program, for this agreement, and when they were enrolled. So you can see that these end customers were enrolled at different times. So I could, if I submitted point of sale for this end customer in June, it's going to get no valid end customer, no valid agreement, I believe. And because that end customer wasn't valid in this agreement in June, not until August. All right, so as you can see, the breadcrumbs can get pretty long. So you can use the tabs to get around, and you can use the logo to always get back to the beginning. The point of sale data is a link to to upload your point of sale into E2Open. And all of the point of sale needs to go through E2Open. If you are submitting via email to partner data submissions, that is E2Open. So that is how we'd like it done. I believe there will be a link on this page somewhere. We're trying to find the best place to put it, but we will let you know as soon as that's available. And excuse me, and we have kept everything the same. We know that there's not really enough time to change how things are submitted. So however you're submitting them today through E2Open, you just can continue to do our point of sale template. We kept the same because we know that some distributors have this format created specifically. But what is no longer required is the DUNS number and the NAICS codes, which were required previously, not necessarily for rebates, but they were required for your point of sale. They are not required anymore. So they're just optional, but we thought it would be easier just to keep the template the same. That way, if you've got it formatted, there's not a big change in how it's formatted. Over here, we have the agreement ID and the distributor ID. We're moving to SAP, so the distributor IDs will change, and the program IDs are also going to change, but we are asking E2Open to make those changes for us because obviously there's not enough time for you to get that updated in your system. So that should be updated for you and give you time to get your system updated. I think everything else is pretty much staying the same. So the unit of measure, all of the eaches in today's system will turn to pieces, but again, the system will actually do that conversion for you, so you don't need to worry about it. Any of the part numbers, oopsie, sorry, I didn't mean to go that far. Any of the material numbers that have changed, we are also going to ask E2Open to make those changes for us in this point of sale piece. until you have time to update your system, because everything's kind of happening at the last minute and we don't have enough time to get you all of that information. It's obviously way past 90 days before we go live, so and we haven't been able to get that information. We just got the ID numbers. And next week we can create the programs. I kind of hate to send out program IDs that I'm like 99.9% sure I'm going to use until they're actually in the system. But I do have them set up now, and I'm just trying to get all of the material numbers for us, and we'll have a crossover for the families as well. So that is the point of sale. So we're trying to keep that the same because we will be processing the October sales that you submit in November in this new system. So obviously we know there's not enough time to get all those updated. That's why we want to make sure we can get that done for you. It's my understanding we will have view-only access to the current site. So we will be able to reference the current site. We are also archiving that data. Of course, using the current site is a little easier than using archived spreadsheets and things like that. So we're happy that we will have that for November and December so we can reference it if anything doesn't migrate as expected. So we can get into rebate management, but I'll pause for a moment and see if there's other questions.
You answered most of them, except there is one about for Canadian distributors. Will we be posting a conversion rate?
Yes,
Exchange rate?
so we will. It will be here in the help file. I don't know if that's going to be there day one. I know that it's currently just being emailed to a couple of account managers instead of being put in today's system, I think. I don't know why, but anyway, we will have it here. We will have it, we'll have a section for it in the help section. I don't have
Okay.
it today.
I think the other ones you answered, they were asking about, do they continue to submit the POS to the same place? I think the other thing you want to address is maybe the ones that upload directly to my.eaton. That will no longer be an option.
Yeah, so we've asked Channel to reach out to anyone that doesn't have a EDA Open profile or doesn't seem to be using their EDA Open profile. So hopefully either your account manager or someone from Channel has reached out to you if you're not currently using EDA Open. We want to get that set up as soon as possible. But it seemed like most distributors were submitting at least infrequently to EDA Open so that their profile must be working. But if you are unsure if your profile is up to date and you want to be the contact, so that when you submit your point of sale, if there's any issues that you get the email, because they send it to a specific email, you might want to reach out to EDA Open, and if you're not sure how to do that, we just let us know and we'll get you to the right place. I'm not the expert with EDA Open, just with the rebates information that comes from them.
If you are unsure, I can answer that. If they're
Okay.
sorry, I had an echo there. If you are unsure about where to reach out to, go ahead and just send the email to the partner data email address, and we'll get you routed to the right contacts.
Perfect.
There was another question. Is there a difference between program number and agreement number?
So there is agreement numbers. So you can use either. So these are your agreement numbers that are specific to your distributor site, your end customer, and those products on that agreement. So with competitive, you can use C, which is our program ID, or you can use the program number. Either one will work. If you have flat rates, you can use either the program number or the agreement number. we've tried to make it flexible. So whatever works for your system, you can use one or the other. So that's the difference between them.
Okay. It looks like you're good then.
Okay. I am limited on what I can do in the system as a admin or user for Acme because it's not a real company. So I can't release my credits and things like that. And we didn't want the developers to be wasting time with those things when there's more important things to do. So this is what it would look like if I had submitted point of sale and everything was still in review. Because I can't get it farther than that for Acme. So you can see that it's in review. There's not a lot you can do. Like you can't get the reports and things until we've reviewed it and released it, sort of similar to how it is today. But normally that is what it would look like. So I do have that on the presentation. Kind of tried to fake up some things here so that you could see it. So if you're in here with a distributor site, you can, like, if you have multiple, you can put that in there. You do usually have to get rid of the filters in the reported month, and that is because in 20 years, if we didn't require you to put in a month, then it could take a really long time for this to load. So preemptively, we've just made that filter on, I think, the current month, which is going to be hardly ever what you want, but you can, for now, you can just get rid of it, or you can look for a specific month and hit search, and then it will provide you this information, show you the distributor, what month the report is for, when either we received the data or it was created. So we have that here, and then we have the status updates. So as soon as it is in review by our team, it will change to in review. So again, you know someone's looking at it, which is nice. If there's an issue, like this one was rejected and informed because, again, it's UAT, so we're doing all kinds of things to try to break the system. And that would mean that there's nothing good on this point of sale. And so we've just rejected and informed. And then once you have that, you can open it up and see the report. Normally, like, the team's going to reach out to you because if there's nothing good on your point of sale, there's probably something going on. So we'll reach out and be like, is this what you meant to do? Just before we do that. And then once it's in released form, you'll see the credit numbers. And there will be training on how to get invoice copies and things from your credit numbers from customer service. So I don't have a way to show you how to do that yet, but you should be getting that training, and we can follow up after go live with some like very task specific things as well. Not only just to do the videos, but maybe we'll have some shorter trainings on things like that for you once we go live. Excuse me, but you can see the release date and the credit numbers, and then I can show you what the report will look like. So unlike today where you have, lots of different reports depending on the program ID, you will have one long report for everything for that site month combination. And I know some that have multiple sites would like it all on one, but then the report gets really big because everything's on one. So we thought it's best to just hold it to the site, but at least it still reduces the number of reports that you have to look at and credits that you'll get in overall. So we've tried to make it super transparent. So instead of having 3 different reports that give you information kind of in 3 different ways, you'll have this one Excel document, and you can filter and move and do whatever you need to do to make it work for you. But we will have like the end customer ID and the agreement numbers, Danfoss material numbers, so it gives you just about all that information that you would need. It gives you the date processed, just a lot of information here. and we've made a lot of effort to make these system responses much more relevant than they are today. So you can see anything that shows that it was approved by the agreement means that it was, you have sold it exactly for the price that was expected, and so that it paid out on the agreement as it is. So with the competitive agreements, we have those scales, and those were always, a source of confusion or discrepancies because you're like, well, this is my agreement. Why aren't I getting the expected amount? So now if it is approved by the sale price, meaning that there's a difference between what was expected and what was paid. So you can see here that the expected sell price was $557.45 and it sold for $568, then the scale is slightly different. So instead of 7.5, you're going to get 7.10. But we've tried to make that super clear so that you can know when something's paid slightly differently and why. We also have, invoice price too high is, pretty obvious. Like once it gets to be over the scale, then it's too high. If it's a net price item, you will see net priced item, meaning that you have a net price for those and should not be rebating them. That is a soft flag that we can look at, and if you've just received that net price and it makes sense that you have stock on hand that you paid full price for, we can remove the flag and pay it. So we are able to at least make that kind of decision on a few of these flags. Most of the flags are hard stops where we would have to have you resubmit the point of sale. But there's a few where we can do this. No valid agreement, no valid end customers. It can be that they are valid end customers if it says no valid end customer, but maybe not valid on the day or during the report period. So that is one thing to check. And then this one's just no valid end customer. It doesn't match anything in the system. Again, we're doing these things on purpose just to see how the system reacts. And then no valid agreements also is the other one that it will look for any sort of valid agreements and then put that there. So in here you can see wrong unit, and we'll give you a list of these things and kind of what they mean, but we're trying to make them clear. I think I'm going to ask for this one to be changed because wrong list price unit of measure sounds a little bit different. What it is if you've submitted in, let's say, eaches when it should be feet, it gives you that message where it says it's the wrong, so it really should be wrong point of sale unit of measure. But you can see that it looks for that. And it looks for that because if you've got inches to feet, if you submitted inches, it will calculate it to feet. It will change like I said, the eaches that you have today, we will auto change those to pieces. That won't be a problem. But if you put in there, I don't know, something that doesn't even exist, it won't calculate because it doesn't know if it's supposed to calculate or not. So we can contact you, tell you we've got these messages, and we can do this even before we release this so that you have the opportunity to get it fixed before we even release the first time. So especially with the account managers will be, like I said, more involved. So they'll be the ones reviewing and approving the rebates. That gives us in the team that deals with some of these things a little more time to communicate with you and maybe make sure we're working through these to make sure there's less discrepancies and so you're less frustrated. But we know that there will be discrepancies still. So in the system, there's, I don't think I can do it in the system. In the system, you can report those discrepancies. So it will look just like this, where this was where it was the normal reports. And if I want to file a discrepancy, I can come into here. I can, it's a form, let's see, that you can raise the discrepancy. And you can just put in the line numbers that you want us to re-review, any sort of comments that should be on there, and the expected amount. And then that creates the CSV, and you can upload that. Again, unfortunately, I can't show it. I know there's all just fake data in there, but I figured nobody wanted me to show any other distributor's name, just even though there's fake data. So I'm trying to do it the best we can. So you can upload that. We will get a notification so that we can look for that, and we can reprocess the data. So if you've said, okay, well, I resubmitted with the correct with the correct point of sale, then once we have it, we can open, oops. So then we can look for that and make those changes, and then you'll have a discrepancy report, and it does show everything on there. So it's just basically is a next tab from your very long report that we had over here. And anything that you've changed, like if you've changed your quantities, your invoice amount, unit of measure is not on here, so there's nothing to highlight, but anything that you've made a change to will highlight in yellow automatically in the system. And so you'll know where the changes are. These are the lines that you asked for us to review, so you can look at just for those. And then you can see what the information is. And these again are Danfoss sort of the system responses, so they're a bit canned. But again, we've hoped to make them more descriptive than they are today. It will give you the additional rebate amount, order number, and release date. Excuse me. And so these report line numbers, that's why we have those, because we wanted there to be a way for you to tell us which lines, unless you just want to do everything, but it's easier if you tell us which lines and kind of what's going on, then we know what to look for. There isn't a way at Go Live to do that in the system, but there will be. We know that like if you just have a few lines that you probably don't want to do an upload, but we will be able to do it just by going through each line and clicking on which ones you think we need to relook at. And if you resubmit point of sale, you can just let us know that you've resubmitted it. The nice thing with the discrepancies, though, is if you report them this way, they're tracked. You can see when they've changed. So you'd see the status change. You'd see that it's submitted, in review, resolved or rejected. We can give you some comments there. We can also download your report and provide you like some actual comments. So you'll have the official report in the system that has the system generated responses. But if we've been going back and forth and there's some more details that we want to provide you on why something is still not paying or wasn't correct or whatever the information was, we can put this information in there for you, and then it will be a attachment here that you can download and look at. So, so basically on the
Well, before you go anywhere, Carolyn.
Uh-huh.
Before you go anywhere, since you're talking about this, there was a question in there. Will the discrepancy form change? I responded, I didn't think it would change until maybe after we go live and we find maybe we need to modify it, but maybe you want to speak to that.
We have, we've made new templates for everything basically that look like this. They're very similar to what they are today. Well, I don't know if this discrepancy one is. So what we're asking for on this discrepancy template is the report line number, a comment, and the expected rebate amount. So that is a bit different than the discrepancy report today. And then that gets uploaded and it will mark each of these lines in the system on your reconciliation as flagged for discrepancy. We've done this, the end customer and competitive rebates. There was a lot of problems with the formatting. And so with this one, every time you hit reset template, it's going to reset everything in your data columns with the correct formatting. We're trying to make it easier. This one maybe didn't need to be that way, but we just wanted everything to look the same. So if you put something in here that's a word, it will tell you that it shouldn't be a word. It'll give you an error there. And so I don't know what that was, but it doesn't really matter. So then I can fix that there and check for errors. And now it's got zeros and I can generate the CSV and I could upload it. And then it will automatically show that you've submitted for a discrepancy and the date. This helps us, we'll be able to track them better because I know today they can sometimes get a little lost, and there's a lot of reasons for that. They're emailed for one, and sometimes it's not really understood. Sometimes we respond, but either the person doesn't get it or doesn't agree with it. At least this way we can track it. Hoping most of that goes away with our much more in-depth reporting. So where a lot of it today, I think, is just misunderstandings on why things pay out the way they do. So just why we wanted to make sure that it was fully transparent in the new system. But there'll still be discrepancies, right? There's still times where the point of sale isn't correct, or there's still something that you don't think is quite right. As much as we are integrating our systems so that they should always have the correct list prices and part numbers and different things like that weren't always integrated before. There's a lot of manual stuff that happens in today's system, which makes our data not accurate. So in this system, we wouldn't have that, but can't say everything's always going to be perfect all the time. So there still could be times where you need to raise a discrepancy and there's things that we need to fix on our end. So we did allow for that. We don't think we're going to be perfect. So in this presentation, we do have, I gave the Danfoss response, the system responses, and kind of what they mean. But it will take some time to get used to that, right? So as we go through these, I think maybe, I don't know, it's holiday season, right? So it's hard to say that like late November would be a good time to do a follow-up on this to see when people have questions, because then we run into Thanksgiving, but we will be available for you and to answer your questions, things like that. All right, I have at least one more thing that we can go over, but before that, I will stop and see if there's other questions.
Oh, we got quite a few. Does the power unit program require an end customer validation?
No. But with the power unit program, we don't want you just to continue to put 12 in the sale price like it is today. Industrial was supposed to put out something to let you know. We're trying to make the audit point pretty wide on that because obviously you've got time and everything invested in that. But if you could either put your into stock price or something in there, 12 could make it error out. And we will be looking at those because that's kind of a different program where we have to look at those. But if we can put the into stock price on those, that would help, and then they won't error out. We can't change anything in your point of sale anymore. So today, upon your request, there's a few people that could go in there and make changes just in the rebate system. But in the Danfoss system, we cannot do that. We have to have you resubmit it with the correct data. So we may be reaching out to you on that if we're still putting 12s in there.
Next one, will the September rebate be issued before the blackout date?
I sure hope so. Doing the discrepancies and anything late, we're going to have to manually put into the new system. So yeah, if you've got September data that's been submitted for more than 5 days, please reach out to the team, reach out to your account manager to make sure that those are all completed. I spoke to the team yesterday, and they since they aren't currently having to go through the thousands of lines of new requests this month. We're cleaning data, but they are also prioritizing any current rebate processes and any current discrepancies. If you have discrepancies out there for previous months and you have not received a response again within 5 days that satisfies you, it needs to be escalated. We want as much cleaned up before we go to this new system as possible.
I'd like to add just one thing. Please do not wait until a day or two before the blackout date, because that does not allow for any time that if there's any errors with the messages, for them to be corrected and resubmitted and fixed. So please don't wait till the last minute.
Yes.
There was another one asking, and I'm sure you were getting ready for this one, how I would see my rebates going forward. So how the statements. So once they pay out, the
I have
credits.
that. Yep. I have that next. Any others? There's
Yep, hold on a second. Please confirm agreements will not be required when submitting POS if we continue to use the current program IDs when submitting the data. So in this case, I would say that this is where we're asking you to open to flip those to either the.
Eventually, we'd like you to update to whatever the new ID is, but we know that that's not possible for, that's going to take some time. So we are asking you to open to make that change. And then once that's like you've changed your system, again, you can put a C for anything competitive, or you can use your agreement number, whichever one works for you. And with the flat rate programs, you can either use the program ID or the agreement number, whichever one works for you. But we are asking you to open to make those changes, which is another good reason why we're using E2Open instead of the direct uploads, because they can make those changes for us, where if it was uploaded direct, we wouldn't be able to make those changes. Because we just got the account numbers like last week. So it was impossible for us to get them to you in time.
And this next one, actually, I kind of want to address this one here. It says, once we submit the POS file by mail each month, are you guys loading the file in E2Open to validate the claims? Are you also still going to provide the discrepancy files regarding rebate claims? I'll answer the first half if you can do the second. E2Open is actually just POS processing. They cleanse it to make sure the formatting and valid information. It has nothing to do with the actual claims and calculations. That is actually within the rebate tool. And then Caroline, I'll leave you regarding the discrepancy portion of that question.
So the discrepancies would be the items that are on the reconciliation report. So we will have this reconciliation report that will tell you anything that didn't pay and why. So these are all the ones, all these reasons these ones didn't pay. I think that's kind of similar to how it is today. It's just that you have like 3 different reports and you have to pull them for each type of program. Where today it will be all on, or tomorrow will be all on one. And then again, if you disagree with this, then there's the discrepancy process where you can fill out that discrepancy report and submit it into the system now instead of emailing it. and then we can review those lines and provide you responses on why it didn't pay.
The next one is, what do we put in for the power unit reports? So is it a competitive or is it the flat?
It's a flat rate program.
Okay.
So we have the program IDs. They should go out with the next communication. But I tried to make them on a lot of them. I tried to make them similar to what they were today. So I think the power units is what is it, like power units IO3. So industrial, and then it's 3 now. So I just tried to keep it somewhat similar. So it's the same as you do. The only difference with the power units is currently you put in 12 for the price, the sale price, and that was because there was 2 different rebate amounts depending on the BU. But now it's only industrial, so there's only one rebate amount, so it's just 12%. It's not 5% for the controls division and 12% for industrial, since controls exited rebates in February. It's just the industrial, so we're able to do it this way now. So we tried to make it to where, like, if you put in your end of stock price, oopsies, end of stock price, that the audit point, whatever it should pay out. But if you put 12 in and you're have something with a list price of $2,000, there's no way our audit points are going to hit that. So if you can put in your end of stock, that would be the ideal. And hopefully that's easier for you than changing it to 12 on everything.
Will we receive 1 credit for everything and then separate credits for discrepancies?
Yep. Yep,
Will
you'll
we
get
need
1 credit.
Will we need new login information, or will our current login apply?
So you will log into, and I get this wrong every time, Partner Link.
Nope.
Product store.
Actually, it's actually my.danfoss.
My.danfoss. Okay.
Danfoss, and you'll have that tile on your sign-in screen. So the intent is you will be migrated for users that we know are actually in rebates. We will be migrating you automatically, and you will get a link to the my.danfoss, and you will actually then set up your password at that time, and the tile will appear on your home screen.
Yeah, and then there wouldn't be, like, then you would just log in here. Once you're here, and you'll need this for everything you do for Danfoss. So once you're here, you can just click into here and it will take you in. And we're doing our best to make sure that we have all of the users with the locations they need and, all of that. But if we need to fix it, it's a pretty simple thing to fix at least in the rebate tool. So we can, in today's tool, we apply the locations in my.eaton, but in the rebates, we will apply the location access in the rebate tool. So you'll just have like access to the rebate tool. So it can be different, where today it has to be the same. So anyway, we're doing our best to make sure we get that right. But if you don't have access to something you need access to, it's a pretty quick fix. So we'll make sure we get right on that. And if we, again, there's been some where I've just sent it out to the account manager and said, can you make sure these are right? Because it's not as easy as it should be to get that information. But yeah, so that's where you get that. Where you get your invoice copies for the credits, I don't know yet. That will be training. It will be hopefully in the same place that you would get invoices for anything else, just like it is today. So today you go into Customer Connect, I guess, or My Eaton, and you can download your invoices there. So it should work similarly on our system. So you will have the credit, sorry, I'm in this one. So you will have like the credit ID numbers in where you can see them here. So you'll be able to access them, sort of the same as today. We couldn't link them. There's just too much. They're not linked today, so it'd be similar to how it is today.
Next one was, will you send us contact info so if we have any issues or questions with the site?
So the help desk email is still going to be effective. And that would be your first point of contact, that and your account manager. Remember, account managers are going to be a little more included. They won't be experts, right? Like, you know, they haven't used the site yet. Some of them have used it in UAT, but, you know, it's going to take them a little while to get used to it. Yeah, the rebate team would be the first point of contact for those questions.
Next one was, can we get a copy of this presentation?
Yes, we are figuring out how to make it easier. Right now, we have to do it one by one, but there should be an easier way. So we are working with the communications team to get that. So there should be a link coming out.
And that brings us up to current.
So in the presentation, I do have other screenshots that we're not going through just for